an illustrated book about birds.
It's been left open. Looks like somebody was halfway through reading it.
Or it was left open for us to find.
Ever so slightly unnerving. Books about nature? Books about birds.
The shelves are about half empty.
Oh, so you're a the shelves are half empty kind of person.
You knew this already.
Books about nature? A chalkboard.
Is this a library or a classroom?
Any idea what this means?
Not a clue.
I'm not sure I learned anything from that. Sure, why not build a science lab in the corner of the library?
The search for new knowledge. The archiving of old knowledge. It's downright poetic.
Is that a snow globe?
Of sorts. Hey, look at that. It's a model of Tangle Tower. There's the lake and those weird mountains. What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing souvenir.
Hey, look at that. It's a model of... What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing... Sure, why not?
The search for new... The archive's downright poetic. Books about space.
They're relatively untouched. Books about insects.
Well, theoretically. There's not a single book on that shelf.
Huh.
Books about geography.
Skip. Books about ancient history, I think?
These books are ancient history. I think they'd crumble into dust if I tried to pick them up.
Good excuse.
Thanks.
A book on the floor. Fundamental entomology.
I guess somebody dropped it. Books about geography.
Skip.
Curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions.
Excuse me.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I am still missing.
May I talk to you, miss?
She knows we're here. She just doesn't care.
I am a detective, and I need to talk...
Correction. You do not need to talk to me.
Oh no? How come?
Because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangle Tower for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis? About the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator. You will need to be more specific. One's self cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of...
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
Thanks for the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic. I constructed my first one at age 10.
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head? Did you make that too?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No, but that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi?
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh. Good.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other? Name, Freya Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There it is. Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did you spend a lot of time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became, 1, increasingly independent, and 2, increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a speculative, empathetic opinion, try asking Poppy instead.
The three of you are friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted. 1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
Sounds like quite a team.
Name, Fiona Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, amateur microbiologist. Likes, the meaningful archiving of information. Dislikes, the superfluous window dressing accompanying the majority of human contact. Notes, kindly disregard the polysyllabic form of my given forename and refer to me instead as Fifi.
How come you prefer Fifi?
How come you prefer Grimoire?
How are you related to the other fellows?
Fitz is my cousin. His father, a man named Flint, was my uncle.
Was?
I do not know if Flint is alive or not. He left Tangle Tower a long time ago.
And what about Freya? How are you related to her?
We share exactly one grandparent. Name, Felix Fellow. Age, 53. Profession, none. Likes, collecting objects of negligible monetary value and assigning them personal value. Dislikes, the inescapable realities of human existence. Notes, Felix is my father and legal guardian.
And, is he a good dad?
I have no point of comparison, but I would say no.
No? Why not?
You asked me a binary question. Do not get upset that I provided one of the two possible answers.
What makes him a bad father, Fifi?
He has trouble expressing his emotions, and something of a willful detachment from reality.
Huh. Just like you, then.
Grimoire.
No, he is quite correct. Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44. Profession, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not know anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been, non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not more.
So what happened to make her stop talking entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond.
Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
And she left it in the library?
No, my mother has not been in the library for some time. I believe Freya was attempting to communicate something through this painting.
Any idea what it was?
I am not the person to ask. All I see is a blood-red mountain with angry storm clouds brewing above it. As such, I cannot ascertain any meaning from it whatsoever. This photograph is my favorite photograph.
So, why'd you rip it in half?
That was not me. Besides, it was not a half that was ripped off. It was only a third. There is a drawing of me, a drawing of Detective Hawkshaw, and a drawing of Poppy and Fitz. It is a model of Freya, made by my father.
A model of Flora, you mean?
And a man with a beard. And a little red and white creature.
Why would my father make a model of Freya? A wooden carving of my father, made by my father. Although, now that I look at it, I do not understand how he was able to paint the red parts without any red paint.
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring.
Is she laughing?
The gramophone belongs to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days. The red paint on the brush is not paint. It is blood. Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer. That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden and in the Grand Hall.
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs. Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course. Curious. The statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the harp. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
We're working on it.
We are?
This belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right. But why?
I do not know why. I require facts. What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she fell—
Correction. She was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene.
Apart from the one in the painting.
Which, as a mere abstract representation, does not count. Nobody has ever been stabbed by the concept of a knife. What is your opinion of Tangle Tower?
Oh, it's impressive. Elaborate gardens, unique architecture.
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask, Fifi?
I am the heir of the Fellow family and the Remington family. This makes me the sole beneficiary of Tangle Tower.
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do anything, Fifi. If you don't want the house, just tell them. Or just sell it. Who cares?
You sound like her.
Fifi's bedroom should be unlocked now.
Can't wait.
There's something about Felix's painting supplies. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
There's something about the image of Flora in the painting. Something suspicious.
Let's ask her about it.
It's a magnifying glass. A big one.
How come you don't have one of those?
Why? Because I'm a detective? Should I start smoking a pipe too?
You couldn't pull off a pipe.
What's that big book on the desk?
Looks like something Fifi's been writing.
Is it a clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiology experiments. I don't know what that drink is, but I bet it's 99% sugar.
I'd read you the ingredients, but there's nothing written on the can.
That's even worse.
What's that big book on the desk?
Looks like something Fifi's been writing.
Is it a clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiology experiments.
Scientific formulas. Probably. I'll openly admit I have no idea what any of it means.
I don't know what that drink is, but I bet
I'd read you the ingredients, but there's nothing
that's even worse.
A new suspect! Don't think you can get out being questioned just because you're a bear.
I'm innocent, I promise!
Save it for the judge.
Boxes of stuff. Boxes of stuff.
That's a whole lot of books. Fifi's got something pinned up here.
What is all this?
I think that's supposed to be Felix. How's that?
Not sure.
That's you, Sally.
What? I do not look like that. Do I?
Is that supposed to be me? Why do I look so angry?
That's just the face you make when you're thinking. It does make you wonder, though. When did Fifi draw all this?
That's gotta be Flora.
Who is that?
No idea. Did you notice who isn't on here?
Freya?
Mm-hmm. And Fifi herself. Crystal chandeliers. Extra fancy.
I don't know. They just seem old-fashioned to me. Plus, they're kinda dusty. Homemade posters. This one's about the Pythagoras theorem.
I've not heard of that band. Are they any good? That's a whole lot of books. Stuff Fifi's thrown away.
You gonna rummage through the trash can?
No, that is quite beneath me, thank you.
I give it 5 minutes before you're in there.
A pretty ornate window, with a great view of the lake.
We're supposed to be looking for clues, not assessing the real estate value.
And over here, you'll see the owners use sheets of paper to block out all that unnecessary natural light. A simple trick, but it really transforms the space. It looks like a microscope, a big one.
Can I touch it? I'm not sure this is a microscope.
I guess that's wrong.
The 4 lenses all have different magnification strengths, so they must each have a specific position along the rail.
I got it.
I'm impressed. Sounds like it unlocked.
Yeah, it's built on top of a little metal box. There's a book in here. What's that big book on the desk?
Looks like something Fifi's been writing.
Is it a clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiology experiments.
It's a bed.
Barely. Locked.
So, about this paint we found in your room.
Nothing suspicious about it. I used it to paint, obviously. Totally normal thing to do.
We never said it was suspicious.
Come on then, out with it. What exactly are you accusing me of?
It's not your paint pot. Did you take it from somewhere else?
What on earth? It's definitely mine. I even have proof. Look, the lid matches the ones on all my other paint pots. End of discussion.
That's not the end of the discussion.
We need a clue to compare with Felix's red paint. Something to prove who it actually belongs to. Let's take a closer look at this. Freya's red paint pot was stolen and replaced with Felix's red paint pot, but the lids were swapped to hide it.
That red paint is from Freya's supplies, not yours. Swapping the lids doesn't hide what you did.
Why are you bothering me about paint anyway? And none of this is connected to your murder.
This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood before Freya used it to paint Flora.
Oh, that, That's definitely something. Right. Fine. Here's the story. I was busy working on a project when I suddenly realized I had run out of red paint. There was a certain amount of time pressure, so I politely asked Freya if I could borrow hers. Just for a little while, you know. Perfectly reasonable request.
But she said no.
I tried to explain why I needed it, but she didn't seem to care. So, well, I took Freya's red paint pot and swapped it with my own empty one.
You went into her room?
Not my proudest moment, but it's just paint. I didn't touch anything else.
And the paint pot you left behind was definitely empty?
Quite. I have absolutely no idea how it got blood in it, if that's what you're asking.
Why were you in such a hurry to get a hold of red paint anyway?
I was trying to finish this in time for Flora's birthday. I needed red to paint the final details.
Could you not have just used a different color?
Out of the question. It had to be red and white.
If you managed to finish it, why haven't you given it to Flora yet?
Well, I decided against it in the end. After what happened, seemed a bit insensitive.
So, this painting, specifically that knife in Flora's hand.
Yeah, it's creepy. But we didn't find a knife anywhere in the room. So what's going on?
It's not a knife. We need a clue to compare with the painting. Something to explain what that knife shape actually is. Let's take a closer look at this. The painted knife is actually just a feather from an ink-dip bird.
It's definitely the right shape, but the book's not in color. The thing Flora's holding in the painting is red and white, specifically. Is there anything to suggest that the ink dip bird is red and white too? This little thing? I don't understand why Felix would make a model of this bird as part of a gift for Flora. And come to think of it, why would Flora be holding a feather in the painting anyway?
The ink-dip bird was Flora's pet, so she kept a single feather to remember it by.
She kept the bird as a pet. And it died?
Maybe it flew away.
Flora spends all her time staring out the window.
Either way, she kept the feather. I think it was pretty important to her.
All right. So she was holding the feather while Freya was painting her. But where is it now? You'd think she'd keep it somewhere close by.
Yeah, I think she does. Normally. This is where Flora usually keeps her feather.
That we opened it. It's empty.
Mm-hmm. Completely empty. Flora? She's pointing at something in the corner of the room.
It's just a pile of books. They're not... Wait, there's something tucked inside this one.